Well, hello everyone. This is Keith with Positively Osceola. Welcome to Positively Osceola Live, and I get just a great start to the day here today by being with a good friend of mine, Charlie Draper from Draper Law Office. How you doing, Charlie?
Good morning. How are you, Keith?
Doing super. Quite often we start the show with my mug only, and I thought, this handsome guy today, we're gonna kick it off with Charlie being right off the bat, and So glad you could spend a few moments with us today. Just to get right to it, I asked Charlie if he would join us today on the show because hard to believe, but we're getting near the holiday season, and we feel the change in the seasons here in Central Florida. May not be a change of seasons temp-wise to lots of folks around the country, but to us it is. And certainly we don't see those 90s barreling down on us, but a lot of things going to happen, and I'm going to just kind of intro real quick and then turn it over to you. What we talked about was, when we get into that holiday season, even more folks on the road, kind of increases some of the pedestrian dangers that are out there as they're interfacing with lots of vehicles. We also kind of let our guard down, I think. We go shopping, which is great fun, friends and family, hit the restaurants maybe a little bit more frequently than we typically do through the year. And inherently on the roads and out having time, friends and memorable times. Unfortunately, sometimes some mishaps happen on the road or even in restaurants. And so I thought I'd ask you, what are the best moves if unfortunately we end up in some kind of a traffic accident, if we end up in some kind of a pedestrian involved accident, if maybe we're out viewing one of the wonderful theme parks, or we hit a restaurant, something unfortunate, unplanned happens and somebody gets injured. What were your tips be? What are your tips that you say to people? What are our first few moves if something unfortunate like that happens? Would you share some of those things with us?
Absolutely. It's that time of the year that, as you pointed out, Keith, where we've got Halloween breathing down our necks, followed by Thanksgiving and Christmas, and 'tis the season. And this past Monday, the big chill rolled into Central Florida. We're now experiencing 55 degrees. So, but to your point, for example, with Halloween coming up, it's different than when we were growing up, but still, as motorists, we need to be mindful of the pedestrian traffic out there, trick-or-treaters. These days, we're seeing more and more churches and really community-based organizations offering trick-or-treaters, parties and giving away goodies, and that's probably good. And I know that you, for example, grew up north, and so did I. And one of the things that I noticed that are very different, at least in Central Florida, is up north. There were neighborhoods and sidewalks connecting neighborhoods. They even had taverns or bars in neighborhoods, and so everything was much more connected. Unlike Florida, where there are subdivisions, but the only way, the main way to get from subdivision to subdivision is by vehicle.
Right.
So, and as you know, in the past several years is with all the construction. There's more and more vehicle congestion on the road. So we do have to be very mindful of trick-or-treaters as part of the landscape now. And so, and as you pointed out, with more shoppers out there, come right after Thanksgiving, there's Black Friday, and people are shopping at all hours of the day and night, followed by Christmas, which includes Christmas parties. Anyway, so to your point, what do you do? Let's take a pedestrian accident first. If you're involved in a pedestrian accident, or if you're a motorist involved in a motor vehicle accident, couple tips of what you should do. One is if you're a motorist, you want to take pictures of the vehicle damage to both cars. Second, you're obligated to report the accident to your own company. Third, you should call 911 to get police there to investigate how the accident happened. If you're seriously injured, seeking medical attention is important. If you're a pedestrian, and going back to the motorist, if you're injured as a motorist, Florida is a no-fault state, which simply means that your insurance company is going to be responsible for the first $10,000 of medical bills and lost wages, no matter whose fault.
Right.
If you're a pedestrian and you're hit, then you're either your insurance or if you live in a household with a blood relative who has insurance, that's going to pay. If you don't live in a household that has vehicle insurance, then it would be the vehicle that struck you that would be responsible for it. And then, as you pointed out, with the holiday seasons, people are out shopping. They're going to restaurants. They're going to malls, and so it's a time where people really let their guard down. They're really not focused, and so it's a time where slip and falls happen, trip and falls happen, and so what do you do there? Again, you should the first thing you should do, assuming that you're not severely injured,
right?
Get pictures of the floor if it's a slip and fall. If it's a case where merchandise has fallen off a shelf, get pictures. Look for witnesses. In most stores, large box stores anyway, there are surveillance cameras in the area up in the ceiling, and they're obviously designed for shoplifters, but they record the activity in the aisles, and so just be mindful to identify where you are in relationship to the store surveillance cameras. You want to make sure if there are any witnesses, whether they be store clerks or other shoppers, try to get their names because that will be important in the long run. Then obviously you want to seek medical attention. The store manager will probably want to get a statement from you. If you give a statement to the store manager, ask for a copy of it, and hopefully they'll give you a copy of the statement. And then obviously seek medical attention. But slip and falls in stores and restaurants, things of that nature, the things that we as attorneys look for, we have to be able to establish, one, that an unreasonably dangerous condition existed, and that the store had notice of that unreasonably dangerous condition, or that the store created that unreasonably dangerous condition.
Right.
If either one of those, then we can, you can have a successful claim. If you can't prove that, let's say, for example, you're shopping, say at a public store, and you happen to slip and fall, and the reason why you slipped and fell is because the shopper ahead of you with the baby in tow had knocked a bottle of shampoo off the shelf, and it had spilled on the floor, and then you came along and slipped and fell. That's not sufficient notice. The store is not required to keep clerks at the front of each aisle to make sure that no one spills anything. But a lot of times, dangerous conditions are created by employees or had existed for a sufficient period of time within which they knew or should have known that this needed to be corrected. Okay. Did they put warning signs up on the floor and so forth? So these are the type of injuries that we see as attorneys occurring during the holidays. And I said, we've got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas coming up, and people are out, celebrating, feeling good about the holidays. And as you pointed out, are not necessarily mindful of their own safety. And why should they be, right? And so those are the things that we stress to our clients that should be done in the event either of a motor vehicle accident or as a pedestrian or a bicyclist or as a customer either in a restaurant or a mall or a store throughout this holiday season.
Yeah, without question, in normal circumstances, everyone's extraordinarily focused. Little sarcasm there for you. Well, it is challenging. I think what I've told my son, he's a young driver, and I've told him, I said, when it comes to Halloween, there are going to be, there's certainly communities that do it on a different night than the actual Halloween night, and depending on how that all rolls out. But I told him, that my recommendation is the dad thing is do not drive that night unless you really have to. That's a night where a lot of kids are out there, and like you said, they're not going to be focused on, making sure they, check twice. They're going to be looking to get that candy, and that's probably not much different than when we were kids. And they still happen, like you said, you have to drive to the subdivisions, but once in there, still that danger exists. And
exactly.
We're all hoping for a wonderful holiday season, and it starts almost, a few weeks from now. Certainly the theme parks, as we talked earlier, the theme parks start at the end of the first week in November, which catches people off guard. But that is one of our bragging stories here in Central Florida. We start the holiday season before the rest of the season's even realizing it's happening.
Right.
So I want to close with this. So we do talk about insurance. I know people ask every time. If we don't touch on it when I have a chance to speak to you real quick, give us those few quick points on just the highlights of what we need to be mindful of.
Okay.
When purchasing insurance for our vehicles.
Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, Florida's a no-fault state, which means that if you're involved in an accident and injured, your own company is going to be responsible for paying medical bills and lost wages up to $10,000. And so that type of coverage in Florida is mandatory. In other words, you can't put a vehicle legally on the road without two types of automobile insurance, and that is no-fault coverage, which is PIP, personal injury protection, mandatory $10,000, and the other type of coverage is property damage liability coverage of $10,000. Okay, property damage liability coverage protects you in the event that you caused an accident,
right,
and that's available to fix the other guy's car. Okay, excuse me. It unfortunately, in Florida, um, it is not mandatory for you to carry bodily injury coverage or uninsured slash underinsured motorist coverage. And the importance of that is this: if you carry bodily injury coverage, if you cause an accident, again, your company will pay up to the limits that you select.
Mm-hmm.
For any injuries in the other vehicle, or there's a pedestrian that for an accident that you caused. However, if you're involved in an accident and you're injured, and the other driver has the bare minimum and does not carry bodily injury coverage, then you're out of luck unless you chose to carry uninsured motorist coverage for the protection of you and your family. And so that's why it's so important. And relatively speaking, the cost of uninsured motorist coverage is not that expensive. Insurance companies, in my opinion, don't take the time to explain the importance of carrying uninsured motorist coverage. And my thinking is that when you apply for insurance, they're going to do a background check and check your driving record.
Right.
And if you've had no accidents, no tickets, chances are you're a good risk for them. Okay. But if if you're a good driver and you carry uninsured motorist coverage, if you're involved in an accident with someone who doesn't carry bodily injury coverage, then they're going to be on the hook to pay you, they're insured, for damages for pain and suffering, mental anguish, things of that nature. So I don't think it's explained clearly to the insured, and certainly it's not in the insurance company's best interest to sell that. But that's just my opinion. I probably probably draw a little bit of opposition from the insurance industry, but that's what we see. And another thing I see is when you shop for insurance, the insurance company is trying to get your business. So they're going to offer you products that you absolutely need.
Sure.
And trying to keep that premium price down. So, but it's your obligation to ask them for the different types of coverage. In fact, if you carry bodily injury coverage on your vehicle, let's say you carry an amount of 1020, the insurance company is obligated to offer you uninsured motorist coverage in that same amount, 1020. So you can either reject it or carry it. If you reject it, you have to sign a form,
right,
that they have to be able to produce at a later time if you need it, showing that you knowingly rejected this valuable coverage. So it's an area that I think is understated. It's so important. Excuse me.
And we had a few folks come in, Joel Rose and David Michael Harris commenting today. Great topic. A lot of other folks as well. And I guess we're a digital news company, and I know we're running out of time a little bit, but being digital, we're certainly, we're very much online 99% of our lives. And even on the online insurance company, certainly Geico would come to mind, Progressive, the General, numerous others for sure. They don't make a huge point of the uninsured motorist. They don't do a huge explanation on that unless you're clicking through. Then there are explanations of what the what the result is of not selecting uninsured motorists. But you have to, personally, my recommendation would be, and again, probably joining you in not pleasing the insurance companies or the insurance agents of the world. But that's the way it goes. They're not a tender industry. I think they can take it. You really have to allocate some time to this. I said, I think what happens is people wait until they get that renewal notice, and then they freak out and they shop low, right?
Right.
You got to think it through, especially if you're in Central Florida. You got to think it through, plan it out, give yourself some time. And you can change your policy at any time. I think people think they have to go that 6 months or that year before they change it. You can change that thing anytime you need to. So if you're listening to this, certainly heed what Charlie has to say, what he has had to say this morning. He's been serving the community since 1984. I'm going to ask him to do a quick little promo for his firm in a second here, but look for a source that has the experience, that knows what to say, that will protect your rights and protect your family's rights. And we know Charlie, so that's an easy reference right there, referral, because he is. You got Charlie. You've been around for a while here for sure, and you know the ins and outs, and you've seen the trends. So we do appreciate you today very much.
Yeah, just following up on that one point, Keith. One thing you might consider doing is consulting an insurance broker,
Right.
as opposed to, as you said, you've got Geico, Progressive, State Farm, all online, and they are obviously selling their product, but they're not explaining the importance of the different types of coverage.
Yeah.
And so if you go to an insurance broker, he or she can explain the importance, and they will shop around for you. They'll do the shopping and connect you with the right company that is in your best interest and your family's best interest. So that's something else to consider.
Yeah, brilliant. Hey, do me a favor. I know you won't do it because you're a humble man, but go ahead and give us that 30-second explanation for those folks who may have slipped through the cracks and don't know you and your firm. Why don't you give us a little information on you guys?
Yes. Draper Law Office is located at 705 West Emmett Street, right across the street from the old courthouse in Kissimmee, right next to Grissom Park. We handle two types of areas of law. One is personal injury, wrongful death. That includes automobile accidents, bicycle accidents, pedestrian accidents, truck accidents. And we also handle cases involving slip and fall, trip and fall, things of that nature. Probably 90% of the cases that we handle are automobile or vehicle accidents.
Right.
And then the other area of law is family law matters, divorce, child support, custody, things of that nature. We find that by focusing on just two areas of the law, we can be better educated and stay on top of the changes in the law and can better represent our clients. As I said, we're located on Emmett Street in Kissimmee. If you're in the area, stop by. We welcome walk-ins. Our telephone number is 407-846-0075, or you can see us at www.draperlawoffice.com. I want to thank you for allowing me to appear as a guest. It's a very important topic that you chose, Keith, and so particularly this time of the year with the holidays fast approaching.
And it'll feel like an hour, and you and I will be talking about it in January, how it was, and when we start we'll begin warming up again towards summer.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Well, we do appreciate. I know how busy you are, and you and your whole team over there, and so we thank you for your time today, Charlie.
Thank you for having me as your guest.
You got it. So if anything happens in the holidays and you're not sure with the topics that we just spoke about today, there you go. Draper Law Office, certainly the way to go. And Charlie, very selfless man, active in the community. We appreciate everything he does. So again, we'll see you on the back end of this. And I think we're going to push out an article. I think coming off of this, I'll put something together today, and either today or tomorrow we'll get that out on positivelyosceola.com and also on our Facebook page, and as well over to Draper, talking about uninsured motorists, so people can look that information up with a little more time behind them. Cool.
Cool.
You got it. Again, Keith with Positively Osceola, along with the one and only Charlie Draper, Draper Law Office, together making a positive difference in and around Osceola County. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Keith.